Well, it's a cold and dreary day here in northwest Missouri, and that makes it just perfect for digging blackberries. So I've got this variety from my father-in-law. It's a real windy, traily, messy variety. Not my favorite to grow as far as being a real messy bush, but they finally fruited for me last year after 3 years. I guess they had to acclimate, I don't know, but they finally fruited, and they fruited later actually than my upright varieties that I had down there. So ideally it'd be good to have, two different varieties that fruit over the course of a few weeks, and get a little bit more time on my season that way. So anyway, he's got this little short row, and he just said he wants to thin them out a little bit more. So I'm going to go through and dig out 20 or 30 plants if I can, and see if I can get any value out of them. Well, true to my bad habit, I forgot I was making a video for you guys. I got busy. Dug up probably at least 20 blackberry plants, and got all the dirt washed off the roots, and then wrapped them real tight in newspaper. Stuck them inside the trash bag here, taped up the neck of the trash bag as much as I could. The cuttings were just a little too big to tape it up entirely. And then I put in about a pint of water, and that water will soak in. Right now the bag's wanting to drip, but that water will soak into all the newspaper real well. And I'll just make sure I'm carrying it somewhere in the roof box of the vehicle or something where if a little bit of water drips out, it shouldn't be a problem. But it should soak into that newspaper, and then it'll just stay saturated, and that newspaper will help keep those roots moist. I've got about a week before I get back to where I can plant them. So anyway, I'll like I said, the wet newspaper will keep everything moist, and then as soon as I get home with them, I'll get them healed into the garden. So hopefully I remember, and I'll add on to this video when I actually lay them out in the garden, and we'll actually count and see everything I got, and then we'll get them planted up, and we'll see how they do. Okay, so here's the next step in the blackberry transplanting. Now, if I were, ideally, I would have planted them directly where they needed to be, but I don't have the time yet. My blackberry row has a lot of grass and weeds in it, so I've got to get it cleaned up and weeded out first, and then I'll get them transplanted in the final position. So for now, I've just done what's called healing in, and just dug a little shallow pit in my garden and stuck the whole pack of them in there, and then watered them down real good to water out the air pockets. But that should that should get the roots moist, keep them moist, and they're kind of, they're back in the soil, so as far as they're concerned, they're right back where they were, just buried up in the ground. So I'll get my row ready, and then I'll get it all tilled up, loosened up, and then I'll get them transplanted in their final position, and hopefully have a good batch of blackberries. Okay, so the last installment here on the Transplanting Blackberries video. First thing, I went through my garden, and all of these volunteers that I had coming up from runners, I dug those out and moved them back out here in the blackberry row. And then I have my bundle of cuttings that I dug up, and they feel, hopefully they're still okay. The roots almost feel dry. I mean, they've been buried up, healed in the garden, just like I showed you. They feel a little dry, but they're not fully dried out. They're still pliable, so I don't think they're dead. They're just dormant. I don't see any of them really growing or pushing bud. Yeah, they're still green inside there. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to go through now and just dig about every foot and plant them up. Alright, so here's your finished product. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a twig, and there's a twig, and there's a twig, and so on and so forth. So a little scary planting up bare root crops, as always, just because you always wonder if it's dead or not. But they feel pliable, they feel bendy, they don't feel completely dried out and broken. Kind of kicking myself for not paying more attention and watering them, but I figured as much as it had been raining, it'd be fine. And maybe they are, hopefully. So anyway, we'll see if it all works out. I just put in about, I don't know, 30 blackberries. I had an issue this past summer. For some reason, it wasn't that hot or dry, I didn't think. But a lot of my main blackberry plants that I had died back. And, I've seen them live through a harder drought than that. And but a couple of them burned back and died back. So hopefully these new ones take, because that'll definitely help, and then some. If they don't, it's going to be pretty slim pickings. But that's okay. I've still got lots of blackberries from last year. So anyway, transplanting blackberries, and my kids are helping. That's always good.